Hello students and welcome to this video on journals, or also known as books of prime entry. And here I want us to look at a few transactions. If I quickly go to my required part, you will see they ask you in this question to do the purchases journal and to do the sales journal for this entity. Alright, they give you a list of transactions here and the question reads as follows. The following information relates to Surprise Traders, a footwear retailer. The periodic inventory system is used and control accounts are in use. So why would they tell you periodic inventory system? Again, for the calculation of your cost of sales. If we are working with the periodic inventory system, the cost of sales is what? The opening inventory plus the purchases plus the carriage minus the purchase returns minus the closing inventory. Just something interesting to remember. Then they say the transactions include VAT of 14%, and these transactions took place in February 2015. Right, then you see on the 3rd of February, purchased footwear on credit from Yebo suppliers. Yes, we are going to account for this transaction. You buy goods on credit, so therefore it will be the purchase journal. Then sold footwear on credit to Grace. Again, we will record this transaction because you are selling things to your debtors on credit. And then the third one says purchased footwear on credit from Pamviva traders, I think. And again, we will also record this one in the purchases journal because it is on credit. On the 4th of February, they say purchased a computer on credit from Bedford. Will we record this transaction in the purchase journal? No. Why not? Because this is a computer that is being purchased. This is an asset. So you cannot put a computer, a fixed asset, in your purchases journal. You can only put the purchase of inventory or merchandise. You can put in your purchases journal. So each time I should not put it in a journal, I'm going to highlight it in yellow. And this one should not go in a journal because, or in one of the journals that are required here. It should not go in your purchase journal because it's a computer. It is not inventory. Then on the 8th of February, paid Pamviva traders with their account and received discount. Will we record this in a sales or a purchase journal? No, this should go into your cash payment journal. So I'm going to highlight it because they did not ask for that journal and I cannot put the wrong things in the wrong journal. So please note, when a payment is made, it's a cash payment journal. Then number 10, cash sales of footwear. Will we record this in the sales journal? No. Why? Because this is a cash sale. Credit sales, exclusively credit sales, will go to your sales journal. Then return footwear to Pamviva traders. This is a purchase return, so that will go into my purchase return journal. So do they ask for a purchase return journal? No, they don't. So I'm also going to highlight that one. It should not go into my journal that I'm going to set up. Number 15, sold footwear on credit to Trust. Yes, it's going to go into my sales journal because it is a sale on credit. Then receive a check from Grace in full settlement of her account. This is a debtor who comes to pay. Will we put it in the sales or the purchases journal? Absolutely not. This will have to go into my cash receipts journal. So I'm going to highlight it because that journal is not required and I must not put the wrong things in the right journal. On the 18th, they say sold footwear on credit to Brian. Yes, that is a sale on credit. That will go into my sales journal. Then cash purchases of footwear. Nope, that one will not go into my purchases journal because it is for cash. Only credit sales and credit purchases. Then number 25, cash sales of footwear. Again, that one will not go into my purchases or sales journal because it is a cash sale. Then received an account statement from Peter Print for the printing of advertising posters and flyers. Will not go into my purchase or sales because it does not relate to inventory or the sale of inventory. Then number 27, purchased footwear on credit from Sam Suppliers. Yes, that will go into my purchases journal because it is on credit and I'm buying footwear, which is my inventory. On the 28th, they say receive an electronic water and electricity bill. Nope, that one I will not account for because it's not inventory or the sale of inventory. And then on the 29th, they say brought footwear on account from Yebo suppliers on for surprises son. So now I'm buying things on account from Yebo suppliers, but this will not go into my purchases journal. But why? Because this is for Surprise's son. So this is a personal transaction for his son. So this makes it a drawing, and a drawing is not a sale or a purchase for my specific business. So therefore, I'm going to highlight it. It should not go into these journals that I'm going to set up. So now I know only those that are not highlighted should be accounted for, and there are 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So I'm going to my spreadsheet, and I'm going to set up the first required part is for the purchases journal. So what do I have in the purchases journal? Of course, the date. Then I have a description of the for the purchase journal of the creditor, and then I'm going to have 3 columns there, and the 3 columns I have in a purchase journal is then the purchases, the VAT input account, and then also my accounts payable, but you can also call it creditors control. So I'm going to say here this business is called Surprise Traders. So it's Surprise Traders Purchases Journal. Right. I'm going to have a date there and a description. Okay. So there I've now set up my layout. I'm just going to make sure that I put it in a neat little block for you. Right. And then we can go and look for the transactions that will go into your purchase journal. So if I go back to the question, I will not only look at those that are not highlighted. And the first one says purchase footwear on credit from Yebo suppliers. Yes, that one will go into my purchases journal. It is a purchase, it is on credit, and it is not for any personal uses. So I'm going to say on the 3rd of February, the description is then that it was purchased from Yebo suppliers. The purchases, you will remember, is 100%. The VAT is 14%. The account payable is 114%. So they have given me an amount there, and they say all amounts include VAT. So the 2850 includes VAT, so that will be the creditor. I'm going to type in the 2850 there. Then it is easy to figure out the rest of the entries. In the purchase journal, I'm going to say 2850 divided by 114 times 100. And in my VAT input, I'm going to say 2850 divided by, I'm going to divide it by 114, and I'm going to times it by 14. So there's my first entry. If I go back to my question, they say sold footwear on credit to Grace. Here it is a sale, so that will go into the sales journal. Then the third entry says purchased footwear on credit from Bambiva Traders. So yes, this one will go into my purchases journal. So I'm going to again say 3rd of February. Now the description is that it is purchased from Bambiva Traders, and they tell me the amount including VAT is 18,648. So that will be the account payable because that's 114%. The creditor, the bank, and the debtor is always 114%. The income and the expense, or the inventory, or the equipment is always 100%. So I'm going to type in 18,648. The purchases will then be the 18,648 divided by 114 times 100, and I'm just going to round that to the nearest 1 rand. Then I'm also going to take the 18,648. I'm going to divide it by 114. I'm going to times it by 14. And again, I'm just going to round it to a full rand. Right. Going back to my question, I am now scrolling down a bit. On the 15, I said sold footwear on credit. Again, that's a sales journal. Then again on the 18th, sold footwear. Again, a sales journal. Then I see here on the 27th, purchased footwear on credit from Sam's Suppliers. So that would go to the purchase journal. There I'm going to say it's the 27th of February. My description for that one will be Sam's Suppliers. And the value including that was given to me as 3420, so I'm going to put it as the accounts payable 3420. The purchase will be 100%, so that's the 3420 divided by 114 times 100, and it's going to be 3420 divided by 114 times 14 for the VAT value. Alright, that would then be my purchases journal. So I'm just going to add up everything, put in some proper lines there, and I'm just going to get the sum of all my transactions, meaning I add everything up for purchases, add everything up for VAT input, and also add everything up for the accounts that is now payable. Also, I'm just going to round again to the nearest 1 rand. And there I have now completed my purchases journal. Now I need to set up my sales journal. And for my sales journal, I will again have a date. I will have a description. I will have now sales. That output, please remember that output goes with the sales journal. And then I will have my accounts receivable. You can also call it debtors control. Again, the sales will be representative of 100%, the VAT output 14%, and the accounts receivable, the debtor is 114. Please note that you don't need to write this. I'm just putting it there for explanatory purposes. If you already understand the percentages that is represented by each type of entry, then it's fine. You don't have to show that 114 and 114. Then I'm going to put everything in a proper line, and then I'm going to go back to my question to find the remaining entries that should go into the sales journal. The first one was the footwear sold on credit to Grace on the 3rd of February. So there I'm going to say again 3rd of February. The description is just Grace. And now I need to go and see the amount given to me there is 9,120, but it is an amount that includes VAT, so it will be the debtor's value. So under the accounts receivable, I'm going to put the 9,120. For sales, I'm going to take the 9,120, I'm going to divide it by 114 and times by 100 to determine the sales value. For the VAT output, I'm going to say 9,120 divided by 114 times 14, and I will find my VAT output for that entry. Going back then to my question, I am going to look for the next one, and the next one I see is on the 15th, where they say sold footwear on credit to Trust. And I'm going to go and then say on the 15th of February there was an entry. The description is that it was to Trust. The value given to me on the 15th was 6,270. Of course, that includes VAT, so it makes it an account receivable or a debtor's value. For the sales is an income, so it represents 100%. I'm going to say 6,270 divided by 114 times 100. And for the VAT output, 6,270 divided by 114 times 14. Then I have one last entry that I have to account for, and that was the footwear sold to Brian on the 18th for 5,358. Going back to my spreadsheet, so I'm going to say that date was the 18th of February. It was sold to Brian, and the value given to me, including the VAT, was 5,358. I need to go and determine my sales. I'm going to say 5358 divided by 114 times 100. And I need to determine my VAT output. So I'm going to say 5358 divided by 114 times 14% for the VAT output. Now that I am done, the only thing that is left for me to do is to go and find my totals. So again, I am just going to make a kind of a double line there, and then I'm going to add everything up. So for the sales, I'm going to get the sum of all the sales entries, add them together. For the VAT output, I'm going to add all the outputs together, and then of course for the accounts receivable, I am going to do the same, just add everything up. And there I have finished my sales journal and my purchases journal for surprise traders. I hope that this question has been interesting to you. I think it rather is. You need to be wide awake about which journal you should use. So in these questions, I would really advise you, ladies and gents, to start with the required part. First, read which journals do they want you to do, and then do those journals. Please don't just set up all the journals. Only answer the required part so that you don't waste any time in the exam. So this was the surprise traders question. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I will definitely see you then in class.